Next we have Shawn Phetteplace. I'm sure I'm destroying that name. Amberly Olson, Sarah Courtwright, then Vanessa Moran.
Can you hear me? Okay. Dave's actually going to join me. He's one of our restaurant owners, but I'll be brief. Hello everyone, my name is Shawn Phetteplace, and I am the state manager for the Main Street Alliance. We're a small business advocacy organization, and we recently expanded to Wisconsin. We operate in 13 states, have over 30,000 members, and here today I'm here to oppose Assembly Bill 1 before the Senate, originally Finance Committee, I guess, but through the Organization Committee. Small business owners have been slammed by this pandemic. We know that economy and public health are intricately linked. Main Street Alliance members want to support policies that actively combat COVID, not create worse public health outcomes that prolong the pandemic. The immunity clause in this bill will prolong the pandemic. It is far too broad and would only encourage irresponsible employers to cut corners and cut costs at the expense of the health of their staff, customers, and community. It's time for Wisconsin to help small businesses that are committed to operating as safely as possible. We need enforceable, industry-specific, science-based health and safety standards, and capital to survive the pandemic, remodel our spaces, and get PPE. Instead, Republican Assembly leaders, and now here at the Senate, are pushing corporate immunity for businesses that expose customers and workers to coronavirus. Corporate immunity via liability shield is a giveaway to big business that hurts responsible small businesses, which are already protected under state law. We are very interested to hear the different perspectives of the Senate on this issue. So originally I was going to talk about the provisions to restrict local health departments, school districts, and governing boards, but I was very happy to see the changes in the amendment today, and we hope that remains the case moving forward. Third, we really appreciate provisions in the bill to help promote and continue to support the WorkShare program. That has helped some small businesses to reduce their workforce due to decreased demand as a result of the pandemic, and have some of the differences supported by unemployment insurance members of ours. They've benefited from the program. That said, we would urge the state legislature to make the needed investments to update the IT infrastructure of DWD. This recent crisis exposed deeply rooted understaffing and antiquated tech issues that has plagued the department due to long-term lack of investment by the state legislature. We would urge a longer-term fix. Lastly, the vaccine provisions. Employers should be able to require an employee to be vaccinated against COVID-19 as a condition of employment, and should only be granted an exemption if there's medical cause. If customers aren't confident that a workplace is safe, it will harm the process of reopening. We cannot rebuild to a stronger economy in future until we have widespread vaccine utilization. Until that happens, small business will continue to suffer. Furthermore, I'd like to encourage all members present here, folks attending hearings, and all staff in the state capitol to please mask up. And I'll just say as an aside, my wife is a frontline worker. I know people who've died of COVID. I know people who have long haul syndrome, and people are entitled to their own opinions, but not their own facts. We have 500,000 people in our state that have had COVID. We have 5,000 people, that's 2 9/11s, who have died of our state from COVID. I deeply appreciate the changes that were made through the amendment. Doesn't mean that we support the bill, but I'm saying I think that those largely were good provisions to protect public health. And I really, as an organization, we have members who are working really, really hard to keep their folks safe, their customers safe, and we expect the same of our elected officials. So, looking ahead, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We just need to get there. A good place to start on longer-term support would be to accept the federal expansion of Badger Care. These dollars would save Wisconsin taxpayers over $200 million a year and help over 100,000 folks receive health insurance, many for the first time. We have seen, especially this year, how access to health care is key to a strong economy. Expanding Badger Care is a pro-business policy. Thousands of folks in Wisconsin have lost their insurance because they or their loved one lost their job. Last month, the U.S. economy lost 146,000 jobs. 10 million of our fellow Americans are still without a job they lost during the pandemic. Taking the federal Medicaid dollars is a specific health measure that you can take right now. So instead of corporate immunity and other measures in this bill that actively attack public health, we ask you to step up, pass Badger Care expansion with a public option. That would be a shot in the arm for Wisconsin small businesses after this horrible pandemic. Let's get it done. So with that, I'm going to introduce a member of ours, Dave Heide.
Hi, thank you guys all for having us here and letting us talk. My name is Chef Dave Heide. I own 3 restaurants in town. Oh, I did the thing too. I'm so sorry. Sorry, guys. So my name is Chef Dave Heide. I own 3 restaurants in town, or owned. They're all named after my kids. Liliana is after my firstborn. Charlie's on Maine and Oregon after my second. And then we're starting a new nonprofit called Little John's after my third. Little John's is a pay-what-you-can restaurant. We just opened this past fall, and the idea being you can have customers pay what they can, with some paying it forward. In essence, paying for a stranger's meal without expecting anything in return. We're using grocery store surplus and partnership with local grocery chains and other partners to create restaurant-quality meals for anyone in need. Over 9 weeks, right at the beginning of the pandemic, we raised $250,000 individually, with our largest donor being only $300, to provide 34,000 meals to needy families throughout Dane County. With Little John's, we're offering military veterans and others a paid 6-month culinary training program and then employing them. It is designed to help veterans who've had trouble finding jobs or assimilating back into society after their service, and also to address a lack of trained chefs in the Madison area. Every week at my existing restaurant, Liliana's, we feed over 600 Boys and Girls Club families, and my goal is to cut down walls, break down barriers, and get rid of the red tape, and just have open source available food for anyone who needs it. We had to close Charlie's during the pandemic and have had to consolidate staff, resources, and our supply chain to be able to weather the current storm. I'm here today in opposition to AB 01. And what we need now, more than anything, all small businesses, is to direct grant support and investments in public health that'll help us get back to full restaurants. The provisions of this bill, including the liability protection, restrictions on public health and local governments, and the lack of any additional aid to small businesses, doesn't make sense. COVID has ravaged our state with over 5,000 dead, over 500,000 with the virus. Engaging in legislative denialism does nothing to help me, my businesses, workers, or the community I'm working so hard to help. This is the first hearing to be held, well, I guess, the entire time that since this has been happening. You guys haven't really been meeting, and I've been in my kitchens rolling up my sleeves and working as hard as I can to try and help in any way, shape, or form. I've always been really proud of my state, and I've always been really proud of everything and what you guys are willing to do to step up and help, and now I need to see it more than ever. And I need your guys' help actually protecting our restaurants, not just trying to protect us from litigation, but trying to help and support us with grants and funds to help us get through this, so that at the end of the day, you guys can all get your, takeout lunches, Senator Fain, from local, independent, wonderful restaurants, and be able to have wonderful, delicious meals from local places. So I saw you have your lunch earlier. That's why I pointed you out. It's okay. I wasn't trying to call you out or anything, but we all at the end of this, guys, off script, all we want at the end of the day is we want to do what we do best, which is serve you guys. And we've got the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're so close. And what I really want to see you guys passing is legislation to help us get through this, so that at the end we can all open up safely. I had to close a restaurant. It was named after my son. I care about it deeply, but we never opened our building even when we could, even under safe restrictions, because we wanted to protect the health of everyone in our community. So with that said, I would love your help and support in other ways, but not necessarily with this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming in and for your testimony. Questions from the committee? Senator Fine.
My lunch was made in my kitchen this morning.
So you weren't supporting us anyway, never mind.
I never know who's going to be open. So, I think it's a cool tribute that you name your restaurants after your kids. That's very cool, but I'm going to shift to Shawn for a second now. How many members do you have in Wisconsin?
So we have 30,000 nationally. We have 45 leaders of our organization, but we very recently expanded to Wisconsin. It's just been the past few months.
Could you turn your mic on?
Oh, oops. Yeah. So we have, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 30,000 members nationally. We have a group of about 45 leaders with us across the state who are leaders with us, who are very active with us, but we're very new to Wisconsin. We've been around for a decade, but we've only been in Wisconsin since August. So
Since August of 2020?
Of this past year.
Oh, okay, so relatively new.
We're new to the state. We're not, we've been around a decade nationally, but we're working and expanding throughout the state. We have membership in Milwaukee, the Fox Valley, Bayfield, the Driftless region, Wausau, Stevens Point, and we're really going to be working very heavily both in the cities but also in the more rural communities across Wisconsin.
Very good. Follow-up question. So are your members all restaurants,
No.
or are they all types of Main Street type small businesses? And what do you consider small?
Well, so it goes as large as Hinterland Brewing up in Green Bay.
Okay.
Has several hundred employees. They're in Titletown. And then as small as independent consultant who runs their own business.
Okay.
So, we have guitar shop owners, maple syrup, brewers. It really runs the whole gambit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other question? Yes, Senator Ringhan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chef Dave, I read about your restaurant, Little John's, in the paper not long ago, and I really applaud you for taking that step, something that's so needed, especially during this time of pandemic. But the idea that you are working with people to get them skilled training so they can continue in jobs is really impressive. I don't recall that from your article on the restaurant, food giveaway. But thank you for what you're doing. That's really a generous, generous effort on your behalf, but yet will get people employable in the long run too. So just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Sometimes when we try and, give a quick little 30-second news bit, only certain things are picked up. So we are doing quite a bit. So our big things are just using grocery excess. So not stuff that you'd ever throw out. It's all beautiful, wonderful produce. In fact, it's better than most of the stuff we get in our actual restaurant that we pay for. But then also we have a 6-month paid internship program. So for 6 months, employees are paid $15 an hour to be trained how to be chefs. And then we have a program with Madison College to get them in completely free of charge for continuing their education and getting an associate's degree in culinary. So our whole goal is about creating jobs, training veterans, using up food excess, and then getting food access to people in need. And I'll just add really quick, one of the big things that happened during COVID was that we kind of pivoted from being a small organization working on little tiny restaurants to now, doing big programs like feeding all the families of the Boys and Girls Clubs and feeding the kids in Reach Dane and whatnot. So we've been able to do it socially distanced, and we've been able to help out a lot with volunteers. And anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's been a lot of work.
Seeing no further questions, thank you guys for your testimony.
All right. Thank you.
I was just going to ask him if you brought any samples.
I did actually.
My
They're
stomach's
out in my
growling now.
car, so if you guys want, I'll bring them back in little brown baggies with soup spoons. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.